Okay, John, the first thing I want to do is just talk about a couple of concepts, okay? First of all, in the game of football, we need our feet up and under us for balance, leverage, power, mobility, all the things that football is all about, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, in your case, coming in, you got big, wide shoulders, you got big legs. We think that you were setting up a little bit narrow. As a general rule, looking at you from the front, we want to see those knees a little bit wider than the shoulders. We just need some operating room to make a clean and uninhibited, unrestricted throw down and through the legs, okay? So you and I worked on a couple of things. The first thing we worked on was approaching the ball, setting the feet, pointing the toes slightly outward, sitting down to get comfortable, and then pushing the knees over the toes, because that gives us as much room as possible between the legs without necessarily getting your feet too wide, okay? Once we've got you in a nice bent knee set, then we're having you reach out for the ball. Let's go ahead and document that, see what it's looking like for you right now. It should be comfortable, and importantly, I know you're not a real flexible guy. We don't want to create any tension in the hip flexors that'll tighten you up, slow you down, and be counterproductive. Does that feel good?
Yes, sir.
That's looking really good. Go ahead and stand up, step back where you were. The other things we saw coming into camp, besides being a little narrow, we had you down as overextended downfield. I'm not fully convinced, but you've got a throw hitch going on where you really pick the ball up and then come down and through. It could actually be because you're overextended, so you can't get a natural throw, so you got to pull and throw. Or you might be underextended, trying to get more extension out of it.
Yes, sir.
I don't think it's the latter.
Okay.
I think you might be overextended. I think it might just be habitual. The better we can set you up in the stance, number one, and the more we can try to bring the ball through as a clean take-through, and I'll show you a couple things to work on in a minute, the better off, obviously, you're going to be.
Yes, sir.
All right? Now, you did have a steep slope, and that would really tie in to a couple of things. Number one, you're tall in the saddle, not a lot of knee bend, which means your rear's high in the off the ground, high center of gravity.
Yes,
Number two, being overextended, it's going to tend to pull your head and shoulders down low to the ground, restricting your operating room, number one, and also being low on the front and high on the back. It's going to give you what we call that steep shoulders to hip slope angle. We've talked about directionality of motion, where energy travels down the spine through the hips to target, up through the legs back into the hips to target, where those energies converge in an arrow point, and we channel all energy back to your punter. Okay? Steep slope's going to predispose you to do what? Snap high, because wherever your arrow's pointed, that's where you're going to tend to snap. Part of it's going to be because when you're steep and low on the front, you're going to hang on to the ball far past the legs when your arms are swinging upward. So we need to flatten you out, essentially. We need to take the head and shoulders, raise them higher off the ground, moving you vertically further from the ball. That'll allow you to bring the ball a little closer while preserving a good arm extension. Then we need to settle you back into the stance and deepen the knee bends. Work to position the knees right over the toes to get you balanced, because you were falling forward at the finish. Essentially, being overextended downfield, you got too much of a weight forward bias. You're off balance to start, so guess where you're going to finish?
Forward.
Finish off balance as well. Same kind of thing. It all ties in. Sometimes you're rear hitched too, not always, but because you're a good athlete, you're trying to get the legs in, and which means you're dipping the rear and then coming down and through. Let's just get you set right first so you can just unwind towards your target. Let's go ahead and hop you in here. Three-step you, Taylor. Let me see that ball if you don't mind. Thank you. All right, first thing I'm going to do is three-step you. You ready?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to pull you forward. That gets knee bend to 90 degrees or less, straightens the back and fully extends the arms. Then I'm going to raise you up, maximizing operating room under your torso. Then I'm going to push you back into the hips towards your target till the heels touch the ground, knees are over the toes, and you're solid on your feet. You feel pretty good?
Yes, sir.
You look pretty good. Give it a good hard throw. Let's see what happens. That's on your way back to the great John Rideout we've known for years, okay? Let's do one more. Go ahead and toss it over to Taylor. Rather than three-step you, I'm going to go ahead and just show you how we adjusted you, okay? You were overextended downfield, okay? Steep slope, not a lot of bend. So we raise the head and shoulders higher. Go ahead and let the ball down to the ground now. See how it comes closer, but you're well extended? Then we settled you down into the stance a little bit more and just made sure that your knees are right over the toes. Is that comfortable? Looking much more athletic. Let's give it a throw and see what happens. Okay? Now you just tapped against my hand with the pickup. If you're very quick with it and the ball is always traveling back towards your target as it comes off the ground, you're going to be okay. If it comes out and forward, defense will cause you no end of grief, and it's going to cause trouble. But any hitch is not efficient. It wastes time, it wastes energy that could be better spent. No, but it wastes time and energy that could be better spent accelerating the ball. So here's a few things you can work on. Number one, let me see those balls, Taylor. Toss one to John if you don't mind. You can practice this. Cullen kind of has this idea where you pull through with the elbows. Pull through, pull through, pull through, and then snap one. Let's try that real quickly. Let's see what happens. You may have some funky audio on this because I'm doing that violently while I'm talking to you. Okay, you're sitting into it much better. Is that comfortable? No tension in the hip flexors? That's looking excellent. See how you're picking it up first? Just pull it through. Go ahead. Okay. Pull it through. Okay? Now the second part of that is I want you to try and keep your knuckles right at the tip of the blades of grass. Obviously this is artificial turf. So imagine your knuckles skimming the top of the grass.
Yes, sir.
So I want you pulling through here. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Let's try that. Go ahead, throw one. Okay, better. Now, the last thing I want to do, that may not be that effective for you. It doesn't look like it. Colin has a way of doing this that I think is pretty good. Set up in the stance, be ready to snap, but all I want you to do is not quickly, but I want you to move the ball to my hand in the shortest path possible. Just look back at my hand. Move it to my hand. See, there's no pickup there, is there?
Yes, sir.
Do it again. Okay, now do it again. Now snap it. That right there could help you a whole ton, okay? It's the idea of bringing the ball from point A to point B as fast as you can. The way I like to describe it is pulling the elbows inside the thighs, okay? Now obviously you don't want to hit the thighs and then snap because you'd be all forearms, but we want to get that feel for pulling, and then snapping it down and through. The other thing I'm going to suggest to you that you could do is get a box, maybe 12 or 14-inch square box. Set the ball inside of it to snap. And if you're picking up, you're going to be whacking the box. It'll cause you no degree. You got to work on that. That's one thing that will keep you from being truly great.
Okay, yes, sir.
All right, you got any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, let's have you snap one more ball. Make sure it's looking sharp. We'll go ahead and move on to someone else. Okay, so we raised the front end, settled you back and in, got the knees over the toes for optimum balance. Just be quick and aggressive two-handed throw. Coming along. Now, we flattened you out so you're going to tend to throw less high. You know the hurdle drill and the other things we do. We're going to need to get you targeted in right on the waist or the gut of that punter, okay? That's a little work we still need to do. But good job. Let's go ahead. Always throw hard. Just keep it rolling. Yes, sir. We also flatten out the ball. Up, down.